Hello, welcome to My Messy Fingers. I'm Charlie, and I am making a mess today. I recently made an album featuring Stamperia Silent Sea, and I had 10 sheets left over, 10 full sheets, and then I had this much of an 11th sheet. So I am going to make a folio out of it because I'm not a scrapbooker, and it's too beautiful to make cards out of, so I'm going to make a folio. I'm going to try and keep this really simple, and I'm going to try and go really slow for you. You're going to need 2 sheets of your color of choice cardstock, and the sturdier, the better. 65-pound weight, I don't think it's going to be sturdy enough, but that's up to you if that's what you want to use. Your overall length needs to be 20 1/4 inches, and it's going to be 8 3/4 of an inch tall. You're going to, I took a 3/8 tape and I seamed these 2 pieces together right here. Then I came in, and you can see all my marks here. Then I came in and I scored this at 6 inches. I scored it at 7 inches. Once you've got this together, you'll scoot down here and you're going to score it again at 6 inches, but it's 13 if you're using a long one. And then this one needs to be scored at 7 1/8, so that you have a 1 1/8 inch hinge here, where this one over here is going to be 1 inch. And the reason being, this is going to wrap up over the top, so we need that extra 1/8 of an inch to accomplish that. And then all the rest of the measurements are going to stay inside your score lines. You do not want to be on top of them, because that's where the flexion's going to come in at. So you're going to come just in front of your score lines to your score line, and if you have to make trims by the time we get done, then do that. But we need to cover some of these panels before we can put our pockets in. So we're going to set those aside for now. We're going to have flaps for the top and the bottom of these 2 here. And I'm going to swap these out real quick. These are going to measure 7 3/4 of an inch in the length by 5 7/8. Again, I want to keep these inside my score lines. You're going to want 4 of these. Now, this is going to fold over. You're going to score at 1 inch, and then you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. So I said that the wrong direction. Score at 1/2 inch, and then score at 1 inch. This is going to get taped down and placed up here at the very top with this hinge to the inside of your work, so that this 1/2 inch hinge here is what's going to be on the top, so that when this closes, see this gap? So these 1/2 inch, this is going to come in here and sit like this, if I can get my fingers in there. And then you're going to have another 1/2 inch so that it fills up this gap, and we're going to do that on the top and on the bottom. Now, the sturdier we can make this, the better. So on this hinge, using the same cardstock, and I saw I needed to do a trim on something here, you're going to cut 2 1/2 inch pieces. Glue them together, and then you're going to glue them in right here, so it gives some strength, some sturdiness to this hinge, so that it's not flattening out. So you want to make it a true 1/2 inch, because you want to go, this time you're going to go from the score line to the score line. You want to sturdy that up, and you're going to do that on all 4 pieces. And it just occurred to me, I forgot to do 2 trims. So I'm gonna need to get out another piece of cardstock. We have this hinge and this hinge that we need to do the same to. So I'm gonna cut a piece that's going to be the 8 3/4 of an inch in height by 1 inch, and another one will be by 1 1/8. So I will be right back. Go ahead and start your trims. Hope I did these right. I want 2 of each because the strength is in keeping this square is going to be in here. So I cut 2 that were 1 1/8, and I cut 2 that were 1 inch, and I think I got the 2 wrong ones mixed up here. Okay, so there's my 1 inch, and here's my 1 1/8. I'm going to glue these together, and then I'm going to glue them in here on this hinge. Oh, for Pete's sake, Charlie. I have just a fair amount and extra here. I didn't look at the cutting board very well. And then that's going to go in here. And it looks like I need to trim just a little bit here off the top. All right, I'm going to glue this in. And then this one. I need to trim some off the top again. Okay. So now when this comes together, it has more strength because this is not as flimsy. And then you're going to want to set your magnets. And I know it looks like a mess, but unless you have a different way you want to close this, that is entirely up to you. But I want it as clean as I can, so I'm going to set magnets. I'm putting them 4 here and then 4 over here so that this closes nicely. And then I put in a blue ribbon so that it was an indication that this was where you wanted to open it. In the papers that I had left over, there is a 12 by 12 sheet that has this image in the middle of it. And this is what I'm making my focal point out of. Now I may need to trim it up just a hinge, but this is what's going to be on the front. So when this closes, this is what it's going to look like. And then I'll use other paper to wrap around. So when you're doing your front, find your focal point. What do you want it to look like? And set that piece of paper aside so that you're not cutting into it. The back side of this was blank, so that means this came out of that 22 sheet single-sided maxi pad. All right, so get your magnets in there if that's what you're going to do. You can, if you wish, you could run a ribbon from the underside here, run a ribbon here, and then you can tie this closed if that's what you want, but be careful if you choose to put glue or tape on your ribbon here. I don't know that that would be a real wise idea, so just glue and tape your ribbon here and here if that's what you're going to do. So let's finish getting the internal pieces together. So these are my flaps. And once again, you're going to want 4 of them that are going to measure 5 7/8 across by 7 3/4. And that's going to glue here at the top, but I want to get my hinge in here real quick. Get this firmed up a bit. And I'll repeat, you're going to score these at a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score it at 1 inch so that you get this. Okay, there's a 1/2 inch, here's 1 inch. That's going to be the hinge that's going to go here on the top. Now I'm going to turn this around. The magnets are dragging everything. I'm going to turn it around so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take this off. Now, the width of this is short by 1/8 of an inch, even though this measures 6. I don't want these binding up. I don't want the pages fighting each other because there's too much bulk here. So we're going to take this and we're going to come right to the end and make sure that this is laying in there even. And just walk that right straight across. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it again. This is really kind of a silly thing. I'm going to do the next set. Wait a minute, just a second. Oh man. Caught myself. I haven't made a folio in quite a while, so my brain is on overload trying to remember all the steps. And then this is going to fit down here. And again, we're going to start from the outside edge, make sure it's laying even, and then lay this down. And you see we have that nice little gap right there, so that when these two come together, it's not fighting with this hinge. Now we're going to repeat that process here in the middle. I've already got this one prepared. And this is going to sit right in between. Wow, that is really short. Hold on. Well, that's 5 5/8. But from the hinge to here, I'll have to balance it because I'm not going to cut another. that is really, I'm off about 1/8 of an inch on this. Well, see how that goes? And this one as well. So I'll just, I have a couple of extras over here. Well, that's not gonna work. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay, so I'm gonna get risky. And from this seam to just to the outside of the seam, it says it's 6 inches. So let's do that. One inch, 1/2 inch, and then I need to cut this at 7 3/4, but I'm going to use it on my smaller. Before I waste the tape. Okay, that is a much better fit. So this one ended up being 6 inches by 7 3/4. So please measure your stuff. Don't just go by what I'm doing. Make sure you are inside. Here's my score line. Make sure that you're inside the score line when you measure this out, because you don't want to be on top of the score line. And then I need to cut some strips here, 1/2 inch, I'm cutting 2 1/2 inch strips because it gives more strength, and then I'm gluing them together. And now if I can get up in the light, just inside the score line. All right, that works. Now let's do that again. Here's a set already made. Yay. It's short. I don't want that. That is not going to work. Okay, now unfortunately I need to turn this around again. Whoa. So, once I get them in here, and we get the filler in, these should come up and fill in this 1-inch gap. I'm hoping. All right, now, need to cover these two panels before I do anything. There's going to be a 4x6 waterfall here and a 3.5 by 5 here. And then we've got these two pockets, but we need to put our backing on first. But in the meantime, you can cut two pieces that are going to be 6 inches in length by 2 1/4 in height. These are going to be our pockets, so go ahead and cut those. And then you're going to have, I made these a little larger. These are going to end up being 6 3/4 inches in length with a 1/2 inch score. That gives you a 6 1/4 inch photo mat that you can actually put in a true 4x6, because these are going to be 4 1/4 wide. That puts an 1/8 inch rim around your photo. So I cut 5 of these. These are more true to what a ruler, a cutting board has. Is these are 3.5 across by 5.5. You're going to score up here at a 1/2 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to make 5 of these, and those are going to go over here on this side. So you can go ahead and get those cut. Get these cut. And we will be back for the filling in of all the decorations and everything. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.